we're off. Not a lot of wind, but then it's 7:30 on Tuesday. Beautiful morning. Sun's just up. The forecast is for the southerly to go east late morning. So if we could round Cape Brett at that stage, we'd have a reach down to somewhere like Whangaruru, as we have to start the homeward journey. Well, mains up, I like to do it when the genset's running if I can, because it gives voltage support, easier on the engines, or easier on the winch, electric motor. Up anchor and to head off, got a bit of a breeze. Oh, we're off, not a lot of wind, but then the change to the east is not coming for a while, and we're going to jibe. Oh, wind was a bit fickle, so we did jibe. So there's the boats, the more sheltered but wind coming from different directions part of the bay. We should be getting a good breeze coming out of this one. It's Roberton Island ahead. We need to round this island and rocks and go between the southern shore and Whangaruru, which is the island in behind. We've got 5 knots of wind. We're doing 2.6, 2.7. So shortly we'll jibe and we can head that way. Here's looking back to where we came from and into Whangarei Bay. Very protected, very well populated in the evening, and we spent a night there when the weather turned terrible a weekend before last. Just in course to head this way, so we'll pass between WAKAWAKA and Rafferty and out the Albert Channel and then along to Cape Brett. Winds should be south for a while, not much of it though. We passed Roberton Island and about to pass along the southern shore of Whangaruru Island. Steady progress. So there is Tapeka Point and the east side of Russell, mid picture. So our moorings in the bay on the other side of this isthmus or saddle. Well, there's Parianui Bay where we spent a night, very underused, very open to northerly swell. And from this point onwards, no anchoring due to the exotic seaweed. Speed through the water, or speed is not working, thus true wind calculation is not working. Speed over ground, currently doing 2.5 knots, and we've got 5 to 6 knots of variable reach to close reach, and we're heading up through the renowned anchorage, and all these red lines are where we've been. Right, so there we go. I think you can say we've covered a fair amount of the Bay of Islands. Well, it might be pleasant, but the wind's down to 3.5 knots and we're doing just under 2. Just as I was complaining, we've got a bit more wind, so it's being under the hills. It's varying a lot in direction and speed. We just had a big wind shift, and now instead of doing a reach we need to be close hauled. Or maybe as the wind's coming out of this next big bay, it'll gradually lift us as we go past the entrance. We'll find out, but at least we have breeze and we're not in a rush, because it'd be better to have the easterly once we get to Cape Brett rather than the southerly still persisting. Going to leeward, it's Whangaruru Island, then Motukiki. Here's Whangaruru or Pipi Bay, where it was too crowded when we went to have a look. No one there now. There's the gap between the two islands, and Army Bay is up around to the left. Then we have Whangaruru Island, Waiwaitarere Island, and behind the jib is WAKAWAKA. There's looking towards Army Bay between Whangaruru and Motukiki. Sheltered in there in the sou'wester, so a few boats there. I see Catbird Sweet with its tripod or A-frame mast. Another cat motoring towards us. And in the distance is Cape Wiki, or the northern entrance of the Bay of Islands. Between these two islands, the Whangaruru Passage is the lovely beach on the north end of Waiwaitarere. Coming up in front is Pora Island, so we'll be putting a tack in, unfortunately. That's Parianui Bay, and there's a track from the head of the bay across to Whangamumu, so the wind can certainly come through quite easily. It'll be a fast trip, but we've come from way down there. Time to tack. Successful tack later. We'll go out a bit so we can clear the end here. Tacked again. Wind is frustratingly variable in speed and direction. Oh well, I've admitted defeat. It's quite tight going past the south end of WAKAWAKA with a few islands to thread your way through. Quite a lot of traffic and a bit of tide as well, so we'll just motor sail through there just with the main. So the jib's been furled away. Here's looking up the west side of WAKAWAKA, and there's Pora Island, Cable Bay. There's a reef off this island, and then we go between it and the next island. Over here is Omakiwi Cove, previously very popular anchorage, but not able to anchor here. The anchoring band goes from the point on the left side of the picture all the way through here. All the boats here are on moorings, and all the way down to the right side of the picture. And over here is Rafferty, and then over the low bit there's Oki Bay. We have some more islands, and we're going inside this one here, which is the main passageway through out into the ocean. Last look back to Russell. This is the southern side of WAKAWAKA Island, with WAKAWAKA Bay coming up, and then the Albert Channel. Here's WAKAWAKA Bay, very popular dock camp, but this time of year tends to only be busy at the long weekends, and most people back at work today. Here's the next reef to miss. Well, this time we'll go to the other side of this unmarked reef, and there's Hat Island that is marked. We have the rugged eastern side of WAKAWAKA. A fearsome place when there's an easterly gale. Back a couple of Christmases ago, I was up having a look from the top just after cyclone or hail, I think it was. We're out in the ocean, we're back to sailing. It's one of the tourist boats coming past, that'll give us a good rock. Can't see Cape Brett from here, but it's round the corner. Up there, around and over in this direction is Oakey Bay. He's looking back into the Albert Channel. It's just made me a cup of coffee, I better hang on to that. In just a minute, we're not very far away, are we? Oh, we're going along very nicely at the moment. Still gusty and variable, so I've got it on wind vane at 45 degrees starboard. Yeah, so we're sailing along the north side of the Cape Brett Peninsula. Hole in the Rock Island, or Piercy Island, is just appearing. Up in here is Deepwater Cove. One of our old Leopard class frigates has been sunk in here as a dive attraction. Up around the corner is an anchorage. It's quite tight, gets deep very quickly, and quite popular, so not a lot of room this time of year. I have had travelling light in there one morning waiting for the wind to change so I could carry on down the coast. Here's looking back to the Albert Channel. Over here is Oakey Bay, and I see some boats there. Wind's a wee bit steadier out here, so we're on a slightly close reach and heading along nicely. Now see Hole in the Rock Island and Cape Brett. Wind's obviously still in from the south, so not quite sure what we'll be doing when we get there, but one option is just to take a long tack out to sea. So, Cape Brett. We're going past another sort of headland. I'm trying to stay far enough offshore that the breeze is reasonably consistent. And back there is Deepwater Cove. Back there is where we've come from. We've got about 17 knots at the moment, with gusts of course, and there's one about to come. Oh, well, we're getting pretty close now. Trying to decide to go through the gap or around the leeward side or north side of Hole in the Rock. I think we might do that. We'll lose the wind, but we do have engines. Cape Brett Lighthouse and the remaining keeper's cottage, which is now a dock hut for those who do the tramp or walk out to the Cape Brett. And here's it's actually a tiny wee island, well, tiny gap island. Then the gap between Cape Brett, a rock that has a name that I don't know, and then Piercy or Hole in the Rock Island. So it's looking fairly windy through there, so yeah, we'll have a look on behind Hole in the Rock. I'll furled away the jib so we can have a closer look. And here comes the hole. So I still think it looks like a mammoth. venture out and see what it looks like out here. It's probably not very pleasant until the wind changes round to the east, but we might just motor sail, take it easy, because we are on holiday. There's looking back to Cape Brett. And Cape Brett Lighthouse appearing on the other side. So it's currently blowing, I don't know, 15 knots, bit of a chop. At the moment it's got the main strapped in and heading at 20 degrees apparent. We've got the petrol sitting it out. See an awful lot rougher out here, and there's a workup there. Up round that way is Whangaruru, nowhere else. Oh yeah, a couple of places you could stop on this, but that would be alright. Up there's Home Point, land bays in there, and then a bit further along you get to Whangaruru, and the petrels are on the move. This wee cat's struggling a bit, making progress though. They've got a reef in the main, it's flapping a fair bit. It's reasonably uncomfortable through here because we've got tide heading south and wind heading north. Well, I'll put a tack in. So if it's all too uncomfortable, then Whangaruru is just over there. Oh, there's looking back to Hole in the Rock, or the Mammoth, Cape Brett, and we're just about at the end of the peninsula, so hopefully the seas will calm down a little bit. And mid-picture is the entrance to Whangaruru. The waves are gradually going down. We're getting closer to laying Home Point, which is in the distance, so in probably another half hour we should be able to start sailing again. Well, it's about 12:30. Sailing close haul at what, 35 degrees. Wind's currently apparent 16. We're doing 4 knots. Exactly heading where we want to, but it's lunchtime. It's 1:30. We still haven't got our easterly, but there's the southern entrance to Whangaruru, and down there's looking towards the end of the Cape Brett Peninsula. Behind us is Taupo Bay. Up here's Home Point, and Bland Bay is just beyond. Certainly more pleasant on this tack because we're not going into the waves so much. Just over 5 knots speed over ground, 15-16 knots apparent. We've taken a bit of a knock in our heading, so I think if we tack we might pass Home Point now. Well, I'm not sure we will because we've still got waves more on the bow here, but we're heading in the right direction. It's looking down to Whangaruru entrance, and back there is Hole in the Rock Island, Cape Brett. Lovely blue water. It'd just be nice if it was a bit flatter and the wind was a bit more east. Right, Stuart's happy. He's rescued the bucket from the foredeck for the second time. So it's a pretty good view from in the cabin. The wine glasses remain very secure there and don't touch each other. Not the smoothest trip. Certainly not when you're going on this tack. It slows the boat down significantly. So this is the waves left over from the southerly that's been blowing the last 12 hours. Home point's getting close. I still believe we're going to have to put a tack in. And then do we stop in Bland Bay or carry on to Whangaruru? Tempting to go to Whangaruru because the wind's supposed to be northeast overnight and Bland Bay is a wee bit exposed to that. I think it's certainly time for a tack. I'll put a tack in. Mate Stuart's come to join me. I think he's enjoying himself. Yeah. Fairly short tack, I think, out towards sea. Way down there is Cape Brett, so we have come a fair way. We've tacked again and reasonable offing to home point. May have to do another one, but don't go too far out because there's a rock called Danger Rock out here. Port tack is so damn frustrating as we're going into the chop and speeds down by about a knot unless I ease off a fair way. But we are gradually getting lifted, so maybe the easterly's finally coming through. That means we're now heading towards Danger Rock. There. Now there's Bland Bay, and behind the rocks is quite sheltered. And we're still bashing our way this way, literally been bashing recently. Now there's Danger Rock ahead. That's Admiralty Bay there, or Admiral's Bay. Entrance is around that point. Anchored in Whangaruru Bay, so there's the camp. So Whangaruru settlements over there. There's another motor camp on the Bland Bay side. There's quite a small isthmus across. There's an island up here. And then Whangaruru continues quite a long way up round the corner and looking across to the south side. It's looking increasingly suggestive of light rain around. Been busy editing yesterday's video and this cat's arrived. Oh, pork chops tonight. I think Stuart's enjoying it. Outlook's a bit grayer than the sunshine of yesterday though.